All right, so we're going to cover some stardoms and situms for Week 8 for some quarterbacks, running backs, and depending on how quick it goes, maybe wide receivers, but maybe not. We'll see. Okay, so we'll just get right into it here. Obviously, this is a big week. We've gotten into bye weeks, so you're going to start seeing quarterbacks, not be available due to byes. This week, no exception. Mahomes, Justin Herbert, both on a bye. So if you have either of those guys, you're going to be needing to replace them. Also, that means players like Austin Eckler, Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, who have all been going off, also not going to be available. So with that being said, if you're needing to poach the waiver wire, the top Week 8 ads that I have, if you're needing guys right here, and if they're still available in your league, I'll just go through 5 of them real quick. New York Giants rookie wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson, has been getting an expanded role in the offense in recent weeks. And honestly, outside of Darius Slayton, the Giants have nobody else to throw the ball to. So I look for him to continue to be involved because they really don't have anybody else. Also, George Pickens. If this guy's still available in your leagues, which he's probably not in most leagues, definitely go ahead and pick him up. He's coming off a 6-catch, 61-yard effort with a touchdown against the Dolphins, and he's been getting more involved each week. He's actually been playing better than Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool for the Steelers. Another 2 guys. These guys have both been getting a lot of work now that CMC has been traded out of Carolina. Deonta Foreman, who seems to be the prime benefactor now that Christian McCaffrey has been traded. He totaled 145 yards against the Bucs, usually pretty stout defense, in Week 7.
Damn.
So definitely worth picking him up. He looks like he's going to be the primary bell cow running back there, although they also did mix in Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard did also produce pretty well for the Panthers as well, so if he's available in your league, he's worth picking up as well. I think that Deonta Foreman had slightly more touches, but it wasn't by a lot. I mean, they were both getting pretty involved, and they both produced. Now that we've covered that, we're just going to get into some quarterback matchups as far as who you should sit and who I think you should start for Week 8, and which matchups are favorable. Okay, so to start, we've got Josh Allen for the Bills against Green Bay. I like this matchup because obviously Josh Allen has been killing it, both on the ground and through the air, and Green Bay's defense has proven at times, pretty suspect. They don't have a bad defense. It's just, Josh Allen and that Bills offense is just so explosive. I look for him to continue what he's been doing. Obviously,
Yeah,
Taylor Heinicke.
That in Green Bay has looked, pretty bad this season so far. So
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that's on the offensive side of the ball, but yeah, I mean, their defense hasn't been great either. And obviously, a mobile quarterback in Taylor Heinicke, although he didn't run a lot, he definitely gave the Packers defense some problems, and Josh Allen's mobile as hell.
Right.
We've also got Joe Burrow and the Bengals getting hot against the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland's defense has been mediocre all season long, and Joe Burrow has been heating it up. I mean, he threw for 481, 3 touchdowns last week. The Browns defense, like I said, the secondary hasn't been great. I look for Burrow to have another big game. Obviously, he's got a lot of receivers he can get involved. I also like Jalen Hurts playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers secondary, obviously a little bit banged up, and Jalen Hurts obviously able to occasionally hit the deep ball to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. He can also kill you on the ground with his legs, so he's always a threat to throw for like 2 touchdowns, run for another one. And I like the matchup against the Steelers. The Steelers defense has not been... I mean, they don't have TJ Watt, which I guess I'll mention that TJ Watt has been cleared to return to practice, but he's not going to play in the game this week, so not going to be a factor there. Tua is playing the Detroit Lions this week. Obviously, you know what their defense is like. I think they're ranked dead last in the league. And Tua has Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, as well as Mike Gesicki. So I would definitely start Tua if you have him, based on that matchup. And then I like Lamar against Tampa Bay. because, I mean, Tampa Bay got killed by P.J. Walker and the Carolina Panthers last week. So if P.J. Walker can do that to him, I mean, Lamar Jackson. I mean, I know Tom's going to be pissed off, so I expect a better effort from.
Yeah, they can't be that bad again. There's no way they're
offense.
going to be that bad.
What
again.
will we see out of the Tampa defense? And that game happens tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football. Now, alternatively, I would sit these guys this week. Dak against Chicago. First of all, I didn't like how Dak looked last week. I think he's still going to be fine. But, I mean, obviously he's still working back through that hand injury. He was pretty average, what we saw of him. I mean, I'm just not ready to start him now. And especially because what we saw, I mean, Chicago just held the Patriots to 14 points and, you know, gave them a lot. I mean, they picked off the Patriots 2 quarterbacks 3 times. So,
I guess I'm going to be starting Geno Smith over Dak this week then.
Yeah, I mean, he could come out and he could kill it. He could, you know, but obviously in the 2 games we've seen Dak start so far, one was the season opener when they only got 3 points against the Bucks, and then this one against the Lions, and they only got 24 points against the Lions, who have the worst defense in the league. So, and he only threw 1 touchdown pass. A lot of that was aided by, you know, the 2 running backs are going off. You've got Zeke and Pollard that have been killing it, and worth noting. Well, we'll talk about this more in a second, but Zeke's not going to be playing, so Pollard's going to be getting all the touches this week.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, and the Bears have a pretty decent pass rush. Obviously, they just traded away Robert Quinn to the Eagles, but they played better against the Patriots, so I just don't like Dak in this matchup here. Also, Trevor Lawrence playing the Denver Broncos. Really, the only thing the Broncos have done well all season is play defense. They definitely haven't played good offense. No. But I do like their defense. They've got a top 5 defense, and obviously, Trevor Lawrence has been having a pretty good season so far. I think, you know, this is only his 2nd year, but he's been having his best season to date. Definitely looks better, like he's taken some strides since he was a rookie, so that's always encouraging. But they play the Denver Broncos in London in the first game on Sunday. And, I just look for Trevor to have a hard time against that defense. He played pretty well against the Giants, but I think he's going to struggle in this matchup. So if you have him and you have a better option, I would bench Trevor this week. Also, I hate to say it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
No, finish what you were saying.
I was just going to say about the next 2 that are surprising.
Yeah, no, I think I was going to say the exact same thing. I mean, this guy, it pains me to do this because, like,
I was going to say, especially for you because he's your quarterback. Like anybody who's got Aaron or Tom Brady to have to sit there and consider, like, should I bench them? Like that's, ugh.
Yeah, man. I mean, and let's talk about that. So Aaron, you know, like I said, I like the matchup of Josh Allen versus the Packers. I don't like the matchup of Aaron versus the Bills. Now, Aaron, he's a 3-time MVP. He could still come out there and kill it. But the Bills' defense has been one of the top in the NFL, and I know because I've had them. So they've been killing it all season. And Aaron he doesn't have the timing and the communication with these young receivers. And I think that the Bills secondary can take advantage of that. I mean, they've got Jordan Poyer back there. They've got a lot of good players. I just don't like the matchup for Aaron in that situation. I also don't like the matchup of Tom versus Baltimore, which Baltimore's defense isn't even as good as it's been in years past. But I mean, they're still pretty decent. I mean, they're coming off a game where, you know, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week, where they had 5 sacks. So obviously, this is a team that's still got, you know, the ability to rush the passer. And Tom's offensive line, he only got sacked once against the Panthers by Brian Burns, but I mean, they're going to be coming after him. And I mean, he hasn't looked right. I mean, whether it be the emotional stuff that's going on at home, that's obviously on his mind, it's got to be weighing heavily, and you can't blame the guy for that. I just don't. I mean, I would think he's going to get it back on track eventually, but I wouldn't want to go in there against the Baltimore Ravens and have to try to get it right against them. I just don't like that matchup. I mean, I'm even considering. It's hard for me because it's like I either start him or I start Mac Jones against the Jets. But it's like, is Mac Jones 100%?
Oh man, no, you have. I forgot. That's the only two you got. You got to just start Tom, dude. I mean, you don't really have a choice. I feel like.
Yeah, I may have to, or I may have to waiver scrub somebody just see what I can get.
Yeah, pick you up some Taylor Heineke. He's out there. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. I would not recommend that.
Well, he's playing the Colts.
If you picked him up and played him, and then like he goes off and you win, I'd be like 35. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't think it'd ever be that high. I mean, if he got 25 points,
Jimmy's had some really good games, like in weeks past, where he's had like 20, 25 points, and I was like,
oh, is Jimmy available? He's probably available.
Yeah, of course Jimmy's like nobody ever gives Jimmy any respect. But, like,
I was like, let me check here real quick. Let's see. I got it right here.
And Jimmy's got Rams week. Dude, Jimmy's 7-0 against the Rams in the regular season.
Jimmy is available with a 13.2 projection. That is not a bad. Actually, Taylor Heineke has a 14 points. He's higher than Jimmy in his projection. What the fuck?
Jimmy's gonna have way more points than that, obviously. How many? Look at Jimmy's game log. Look at his game log though.
Like, what does it say? Like
in the last couple, he's had pretty good games the last few weeks.
I can't believe Taylor. He's fourth best out of the remaining quarterbacks in the league right now. That's crazy.
He's only played in one game.
Yeah, I know, which is weird. I expected him to be much lower on there.
It's probably based on the projection part alone, but yeah,
it is.
All right, so we'll get into the running backs here. Okay, so here's some running back matchups that I like for Week 8. So for running back starts, I like Derrick Henry with the Titans against the Houston Texans. Houston Texans obviously better at defense than they are offense, but Derrick Henry's starting to roll, and once Derrick Henry starts rolling,
with that, would you ever not start Derrick Henry?
So, I mean, I don't know, because even like last year when he was coming off that foot thing, remember he came back and he played in like that 7 games and still practically ran for 1,000.
Yeah,
so
it's one of those things.
Even when he's not Well, I mean, I really like him against the Texans.
Of course. You like literally any NFL player on your team against the Texans.
I will say Josh Jacobs, we mentioned it. He went for 20 carries for 143 and 3 touchdowns last week against the Texans defense. So, yeah. I mean, I like the matchup. I also like this matchup. Tony Pollard versus Chicago. Obviously, no Zeke this week. He's out with a knee injury. And Tony Pollard had been playing well when he'd been mixing it up with Zeke, and they'd both been running the ball. So when he's going to be having to carry the game, especially if Dak has a bad game and they have to run a lot, I look for Tony Pollard to probably be a threat in the running and receiving game and possibly even have a touchdown, more than likely. And Kenneth Walker for the Seahawks. Against the Giants, obviously Kenneth Walker, like we talked about, he had a huge game with 2 touchdowns last week against the Chargers. Obviously, the Chargers are really banged up on defense, so not as good of a defense as people expected them to be early on. But I think he'll have a pretty good game. I think that the Seahawks have a real shot here to beat the Giants. Overall, because like I said, I think the Giants have gotten real lucky in some of those wins, and the Seahawks have been playing good ball. That's kind of a toss-up on. Of course, I'd rather probably see the Seahawks lose for division.
I was going to say, this is a weird thing to hear you say. I'm sure you'd rather see them lose.
I need to see the Giants get some losses though at some point in the season, just overall. I mean, like, we can't have them like with one loss going too deep into the season. It's like eventually we need to pump the brakes on the Giants a little bit here. It's like I'm just. Same
with the damn Eagles, man. They better come off the bye week and fucking lose. I swear to God,
just come out of the bye week flat as hell.
Right? No. That break it screwed them up. They lost all their momentum. They're gonna lose like four straight now. I'm calling it. No, they're not.
Hey, that'd be great in a lot of ways. Nick Chubb, obviously, start him against the Bengals. I don't know why you wouldn't start Nick Chubb. He's the leading rusher in the league if you have him.
Right.
I like Josh Jacobs against New Orleans. I like Dalvin Cook against Arizona. I like Jonathan Taylor against Washington, unfortunately. Sorry, but I'm not saying the Colts are going to win the game, especially with Sam Ellinger, but that's the more reason I like John Taylor.
I get it because they're starting Sam Ellinger.
I mean, because you're starting a rookie.
100%.
It's like he's never attempted a pass in the NFL. And they only gave it to John Taylor 10 times last week, and the man got 58 yards on 10 carries. Like that is a crime to not give him more carries than that.
Yeah,
you're fucking high. You're smoking fucking dick. If you're not,
look at the owner. Look at Jim Irsay, man. I mean,
Jim Irsay's fucking drunk. He's fucking drunk. Although he might get fucking if he votes Dan Snyder out, that's fine. Go Jim Irsay.
Right. I know. Yeah.
All right, now let's get into the guys I wouldn't start for running back. All right, Naji Harris. I drafted this kid last year. I was really high on Naji Harris, but he's been dealing with a foot injury all season, and he's been so ineffective, and the stacked front in Philly's not going to help him at all get out of this season-long slump. I mean, he's just going to continue to struggle, I think. Philly also, as we've mentioned, just traded for Robert Quinn, the pass rusher, so their defense is just going to get even better. I mean, I don't know how much practice he might get in. What's today? Fucking Wednesday. So he'll get in too. Yeah, I always have to think about what day it is. So he'll probably practice twice with the team. So he might play a little bit, probably in like third down situations where they just have to pass rush. I also don't like Damien Harris for the Patriots against the Jets. Ramondre Stevenson has clearly taken over as the number one back after they were kind of splitting touches earlier on. But Damien Harris in the last game against the Bears, only 3 carries for 8 yards. Of course, part of that was the fact that they were down so much. They just, weren't really running as much. But Ramondre's definitely become that guy, unfortunately, for me in fantasy.
Which fucked you.
I was hoping that.
I was watching that close because I already had.
I was watching that. I was hoping for more
games.
Damien Harris. I was like, Bill, let's get Damien in.
That was shitty.
And Bill got denied his fucking. He could have moved into second place with the 325th win, tying George Halas. And the Bears, who were George Halas's old team, denied Bill the win. So it kind of like blocked him on the tic-tac-toe board there. Also, Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's been phased out of the Browns' offense in recent weeks. Obviously, it's Nick Chubb's show. I think Kareem Hunt had like 5 touches last week and had negative yards rushing. At this point, he may be good to get you a touchdown in like a short yardage or goal line situation. But yeah, it's really the Nick Chubb show there in Cleveland now, so I don't like that matchup. Darrell Henderson for the Rams against the Niners. Last time we played the Rams, we held them to 34 yards rushing. So I don't like anybody rushing on the Rams. And the Niners just got humiliated on defense. And we normally play very well against the Rams. So I think this is going to be a statement game for us to come out here. And I look for us to, kind of put kind of maybe boat race the Rams a little bit here. And, maybe get out to an early 14, 17-point lead on them. I'm not saying that's going to happen for sure, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it did. The whole team's got something to prove after that shit show last week against the Chiefs. We didn't do anything right. And then another guy I'd stay away from, James Robinson. Obviously, a lot of people still own him from his Jacksonville days, but I just don't know how familiar he's going to be with the offense in the amount of time he's going to have limited practices. And it's not like a defensive end like Robert Quinn. This is a running back where he's got to learn zone schemes and blocking schemes and different things like that. Whereas like a defensive end like Robert Quinn just has to come in the situation and rush the passer. So I look for Michael Carter to get more of the carries. And like I told you before, the Patriots got killed for 243 on the ground. There's no way Bill can let that happen again. I think that they're going to be really keying on the Jets' run game and try to make Zach Wilson beat him through the air.
I can only imagine the locker room after that loss with that giving up that many rushing yards. Like Bill must have just been
Bill fucking
furious,
probably opted. Yeah,
I
wouldn't be a bit surprised, especially for a game that would have been so meaningful for him to move into second place all time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he might get it this week. I mean, Bill notoriously.
Well, he's gonna get it sometime soon. I mean,
I mean, he's moving in. He's moving into second place. I mean, depending on how long he coaches, he might even be able to, take Shula. Probably not. Shula's got up I think 25, 30 games. So Bill would have to coach probably another 3 or 4 good seasons to get that. He'd have to have good.
He might. He might.
Or 5 or 6 bad seasons. He might. He might just never. He's never going to leave. But yeah, that's what we have for the fantasy start and sits for week 8. Join us next week where we'll go over some more players and those matchups as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the segment, and good luck in your fantasy matchups this week. And make sure you like and subscribe for more weekly content.